Welcome to the Breaking Average podcast, a resource for visionary leaders and learners leaving average for excellence. In a world settling for what is, we want to equip you with practical strategies to bring about what could be. Now, for today's insights, here are your hosts, Paul and Barry.
Hey, welcome to the Breaking Average podcast. I'm here with my good friend, Barry Smith. Barry, how you doing, man?
I'm doing outstanding, Paul. How are you, my friend? Always good to be here with you.
I'm doing good. I got something I want to share with you real quick.
What?
Yeah. Listen, I went to the post office the other day, and I got something I'm going to send to you. It is a bunch of stamps protecting sea turtles. Right? These are yours. I'm sending them to you. I got one for Barb and one for you, and this is for you and Cheryl. So it's coming your way.
You're awesome, dude.
Sea turtles.
There it is.
I love it. So we're not talking about sea turtles in this podcast, but I just wanted to share that real quick. My friend Barry is an advocate for just life in general, but certainly in the mornings there, sometimes getting up early, making sure some of those sea turtles are making it out to sea. So you can certainly share a little bit more of that story. I think it's phenomenal, and you get to see just amazing creation. That's feel pretty cool.
I'll be on the beach tomorrow morning, and we're getting right into the heavy part of the season. We got new nests, we got hatchlings, we got all kinds of stuff going on. But yeah, it's just been an honor, a privilege, and just a very fulfilling opportunity to volunteer with the state of Florida to help protect our sea turtles. So thank you, my brother. Very nice of you to think about that.
You are welcome. You are welcome. So since the last time we talked, I met up with Joe Theismann too. So I got one of these for you. This is your card. I'm going to send it to you. Joe Theismann, one of my favorites back in the 80s, and used to play for Notre Dame back in the day. So, and you know what? We're not far from football season, at least the time of this recording. So I'm sure we'll be getting into that later. But I want to dive into this idea of questions, the power of questions. We started the short little series. You and I were out in Colorado together, side by side, as opposed to Zoom video kind of stuff. And that was just powerful. Thank you for spending time with me out there in Colorado. And we started these set of questions that we had. And so we've already gone through 4. So if you haven't had a chance, folks, go back and watch that. It's a really great episode. But we got 4 more. So first, before we dive in, Barry, share just a little bit, like, what is the power of questions to you? Why is it so important and significant for us to use these?
Yeah, thank you. Well, as a coach, which is what I do for a living, there's so much value in the power of an open-ended question, not the yes/no questions, but really challenging someone, give them a checkup from the neck up, right? And challenge your thinking, throw some open-ended questions at them that require them to really kind of dig deep down inside to come up with an answer. That's really where the power of the coaching process comes from. And so I love questions. I've been spending a lot of time with my 2 grandkids who are about 2 and 4. And man, it's everything out of their mouth is why. So, at that age, they're full of questions. And so it's a lot of fun to try and, not just get tired of the whys, but just, give them some creative responses and challenge them a little bit. They're learning so much at that age every day. Questions are very important, but it definitely keeps going, even though we don't quite learn as much when we get older. Those questions can keep those mental processes flowing for sure.
Yeah, and I like the fact that with those questions, we don't need to know the whole answer to everything, the understanding of the universe. We know, but we can ask questions to engage with folks and really get perspective. So it's powerful. So I've got one question for you to start, and I know we're going to go back and forth. So I'll start with the first one. You ready?
Okay, lay it on me, brother.
If you could live anywhere in the world, Barry, where would you live?
All right. Well, I got to say, I do live in a very beautiful place right now, Jupiter, Florida, on the river, right next to the state park. So the wildlife is crazy. I was out with the grandkids the other day, following a box turtle running across the yard. And we got deer and birds and just, so beautiful. Being an outdoors guy, it's just amazing. You even got alligators and manatees. It's just real cool to be plugged in that close to nature. But I think to answer the question, even though I live in a beautiful place, I think the answer I'd go with is live in my RV.
Yeah. Wow.
That just opens up the world.
Yeah, it expands everything, right? So you're not stuck in one spot.
My wife Cheryl and I took a trip up to the Smoky Mountains for her birthday here about a month ago, and just had an incredible time. But the idea of living on the road, as goofy as that may sound, when you do it in kind of a comfortable setting, just gives you an amazing opportunity to see the world that's been created. And just so beautiful. I hadn't really been through the Smokies before, and not just one place in the U.S. I haven't been. And man, I'll never forget that trip. So, yeah, if I could live anywhere, I guess I'd live in my RV.
I like that. Yep. There. I'm just thinking Robin Williams here, RV.
Hopefully not like that. But
that's crazy.
Oh my gosh. How about you, brother?
I love that answer, and I'm going to go a little different direction because I do like the four seasons, and I guess with an RV you can get to anywhere you want. There's so many great places in the world, and there's so many places I still want to go to. But I'm a mountain guy. I love the mountains. My wife is an ocean girl. She grew up near the beach, and so I guess the mix of both those would be really the perfect combo. And there's not a lot of places in the world where you get that. I mean, when I was a kid, we lived in Rio de Janeiro, and you could do that there. I'm not sure I'd live there now. Plus, my Portuguese isn't as good as it used to be. San Diego's cool. I've obviously visited there a few times. I like the mountains because of the different elements of the seasons. Like skiing in the wintertime and snowboarding, hiking, biking. I love getting on the water, like in Colorado. So I would say, at least for now, for a few seasons, we've been working a little bit of an update of an old house I bought from my mom. As we saw it together. If you watch the podcast, anybody, you can see Barry and I are in that space. So I'd say probably there for at least a little while. But ultimately though, I'd rather be a little even closer to some of the action in terms of just skiing and all that. But there's so much right there in that little town of Buena Vista. I love Buena Vista, Colorado, but I like it here too in Virginia. So
that's it.
To say.
It's hard to say. It's like, who would really pick one spot? I mean, one spot and you'd have to be there 365 days a year. I mean, that's no fun, even if you're in a beautiful place.
Yeah. It would be tough. I just, the Colorado Rockies, they'll call me. They just call me.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful area.
All righty. So I'm going to let you go with the next question. Right. You get to throw it out at me.
So how's this sound here? What's the first thing you think of when you hear the word work?
Well, okay. First thing I think of when I hear the word work, I think back to when I was a kid, and my dad said, we got to put you to work. I didn't like it. It wasn't a very endearing term, but the words changed for me quite a bit because I think I find joy in work. And so I think the word for me is impact. I think when we go to work, we can create impact. We can create value. I think it's, I'm a person of faith. I find that, I've got a friend who tells me that worship is work. Or work is worship. And I kind of agree with that. I think when we put ourselves into it wholeheartedly with passion, maybe that's another word, I think we transform work into something enjoyable. Work isn't just a burden, it's a blessing. And so that's what I strive for and I think part of the work that makes it so much fun is finding ways to get creative. Things like this podcast is good. This isn't work, but it takes us work, to kind of connect and do it. And there's so much payoff in doing it because we're kind of working together, which is good, the collaboration. Yeah, so there's a lot to it. There's collaboration, there's impact, there's value, there's passion. How about you, man? What word comes to mind for you?
It's funny, and this is not the easy way out, but the first thing that came into my mind was impact.
Wow.
It really was. And so I think about the different ways I work, right? I work in ways to generate revenue. And I love the opportunity to make impact as a coach, as a trainer. Just great opportunities to meet people, add value to them, be an agent of change. But I'm also, in an opportunity now where I can work in the yard and I can make an impact doing stuff that, somebody else maybe can't do, or somebody else would have to spend a bunch of money to do, or all those things. And it helps, create the beautiful environment that we're in to keep it beautiful and to get out and to keep living my life in a physical way. And I was complaining to you the other day about how hot it's been down here in South Florida, and you get out and sweat. That feels good. For a guy who's almost 60, it's like, you need to keep moving or you're not going to make it to 61. So it's been awesome to be able to do that. But it's impact, whether you're generating revenue or not, doesn't matter. A lot of work. We watched our grandkids for the last 4 days while their mom and dad went to a wedding out in California. That was work, brother. Trust me. Yeah. But again, making an impact, right? Got to spend some quality time with the grandkids and help the kids out, to be able to make their trip and not worry about things. So work is work, and there's a lot of different kinds of it. But at the end of the day, got to make an impact with what we do.
Yeah, I love it. It's so true. I wrote down, you get what you create. You get what you create.
Henry Cloud, wasn't it?
Henry Cloud.
Get what you create, you get what you allow.
That's right. And so, if we put the work in, boy, we get the results. That creates impact. Love it. Okay, that's good. Good question. All right, you ready? I'll toss you one now.
Okay.
Fun. All right. So Barry, what's the bravest thing you've ever done?
Man, I don't know. Like, I got to think about what does brave really mean? Does that mean courageous? Does that mean, willing to lay it all on the line? Does that mean just something that was maybe scary? I don't know that I've ever been in a situation where I could have been a hero. There's a lot of heroes out there, our civil servants, police, fire, military. Those are heroes that do brave things every day. I know in construction, I did a lot of dangerous things. I mean, does that count? When I was building power lines back in the 80s, I guess, working 300 feet off the ground and, climbing around a metal jungle gym and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, I guess you could say, maybe need a little bravery. That's a tough question. I guess maybe some people might say raising kids is being brave.
or grandkids.
Yeah, I think that's tough, man. I think just I guess maybe, some of the health concerns I went through the last 12 months, that was, maybe some bravery needed in there to kind of face that. And thankfully, everything's good and I'd come out the other side. But there was probably a little bravery needed in there to stay strong for my wife and family. I don't know, man. Sometimes you wake up every day and you got to be brave to face what's coming at us. Some challenges out there. I know you and Barb have been through some stuff too. With family and different things. And brave, you kind of look at me like you're the brave guy, man. You've gone through some stuff and you've had to be brave. So that's tough. I think it's hard to answer just by being brave, because when we hear brave, we think about the heroes, and the first responders and the people who really put their life in harm's way. And, I guess fortunately I've never really had to do that. I don't know. How about you, man? What do you think?
Yeah, this is a great question, especially on the heels of the last one, when we talk about work, because I think when we tie brave to work, I think I think that's where it really creates the impact, right? So, just so that I'm reflecting back to you, just some of the things that I've seen where you're brave, and I'll answer the question. I remember when you made that big commitment, getting out of, you talked about some of the crazy, scary things you did in the commercial building world, but you had a heart for something bigger than that. And that was a brave thing for you to do because you had a job, you had a paycheck, you had security. And we're so afraid, I think, as a civilization, no matter where we're at, no matter what nation we're in, we're so afraid to take those kind of risks because, we do have other people relying on us. We do have family relying on us. And, sometimes that paycheck is what is, I think the paycheck should sometimes be called the stay check. And we don't want to get to the stay check is not a good spot to be. That means you're staying in the status quo. This is the Breaking Average podcast. So how do we break average? Well, you got to be brave.
Yeah.
And brave is not a feeling. It's a choice.
Absolutely.
And we got to wake up every day. I got to wake up. And I'm not saying I do this every day, but I've got to wake up every day being ready to be brave. And I think the thing that hits me, Barry, and I'm getting to the answer, but I'm really setting the table here. My favorite place to go, and this is going to sound really weird to some, my favorite place to go is Arlington National Cemetery.
Wow. Yeah.
Where my dad is buried. And I look around and I see these markers, a sea of markers, and I see all these individuals, but I don't see them as individuals. I see them as connected. I see others, monuments. I'm not far from Washington, D.C. I'm not far from a statue here just 20 minutes from me of Iwo Jima outside of Quantico, and I can go see the real thing right across from D.C. And I see the bravery. I see these people who are willing to put their life on the line for something bigger than themselves. I think that's what it means to be brave.
No, I love that, man.
And yeah, so for me, the bravest thing I've ever done, you mentioned kids, that is a pretty big, brave thing. I don't think we should never discredit ourselves. The bravest thing I've ever done is just try to encourage my wife, right? When she was bringing the children into the world, that was kind of cool. I was seeing her being brave. I was a chicken. I wanted, it was like, good thing you're doing it, not me. But
yeah,
but I had to be brave too. Right? Right? It's tough doing something you've never done before. That's being brave, right? It's tough when somebody will say, no, you couldn't, you shouldn't, I wouldn't do it. Starting a business was a brave thing, right? You did it. I've done it. Doing these kind of things can be a little bit brave, right? Writing a book can be kind of a brave act too. And I don't think there's one thing that just comes to mind. It's just these series of little things where if you start to connect them together, they start to shape this thing. And it's pretty powerful. It's really powerful when we realize, you know what? The brave things that we can do it starts with one step. It always starts with one step. And we just take that one small step and man, we can make an impact.
Well stated.
And, so that's what comes to mind for me.
Yeah, you did a better job answering that one, I think, than I did. But no, when you mentioned, the cemetery, and I remember being a Boy Scout leader with both my boys, taking them all up to the cemetery and Memorial Day, and cleaning off the markers and planting a flag and saying the names out loud. And it was just, one of my favorite things we did as scouts, to be able to do that and just honor those brave folks. But man, we live in the land of the free because of the brave, right?
Yeah.
I think I shared that with you guys on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
That statement. And I love when I hear that. But good stuff, man. That's a great question. All right. So one more. Let's bring this baby home.
Okay. Let's do it.
What does your ideal day look at, Mr. Gustavson, at the age of 65?
Okay. Ideal day. So when you first asked that question, I was thinking, what's my ideal day look like right now? But then you say, okay, at age 65, which I'm actually thankful for. You mean I've got a little bit of time to prepare for this?
See, that me too. It's like, oh yes, hold that vision, baby, making it to 65.
Yeah, and I think this is probably, we're asking 4 questions per podcast. I like this question as the closer. I think this is a good one. Because we need to think about, right, start with the end in mind. I mean, my plan is to live till, I get triple digits. I'm okay with that, kind of like the temperature outside. But 65 doesn't seem that far away. For some people, it may seem like an eternity away. Let me just say one thing to anybody listening or watching. Whatever, like I'm 58, you're what, 59, almost 60, somewhere around there, right? We're hovering around that space. So we're not far from the 65. But guys, listen, guys and gals, you will be surprised how quick you get to this stage if you're younger than us. It will be here before you know it. So when you say 65, it doesn't seem that far away because I know it's going to get here so fast. I would say this: the one thing that my ideal day, it's we talked about being where we're at, right? Nice physical space, place. You're going to be in your RV. Who knows where I'll be? But that doesn't make my ideal day. As cool as that is, that doesn't make my ideal day. My ideal day is being able to wake up and realize that I can make an impact. We used that word earlier when we talked about work. And so I guess I'm still working, but in a different way, maybe. I don't know. I'm always one day closer to retirement. But even when I retire, I still want to make an impact. So I don't really want to stop working. So the ideal day for me when I'm 65 is I'm living into my purpose. I'm waking up each day realizing there's an opportunity for me to maybe lift somebody up, because when I lift somebody up, I get lifted up. I really do. It mirrors back for me. I think my ideal day is being able to connect with folks, whether it's a small group or a larger group, but just being able to share something encouraging with them and being able to add value to folks. And I know we say that phrase quite a bit, but those are kind of the things I want to, part of that ideal perfect day would be spending quality time with my wife, my family, enjoying a good meal. There's nothing better than enjoying a good meal. I think it's the 6th love language, right? I mean, I want some good meals. I want to see some great sights in different places, so even though we've talked about our ideal place where we want to live, we kind of with Barry on this, maybe I do want to be in an RV when I'm 65 because I like seeing new places. I just came back from Arizona and Utah, and that was amazing. So I think it's good to get out there and see the world. I was telling my wife last bit here, and then I want to hear your thoughts. I said, sometimes we make these big trips and we get away, and those are good, but I think we often forget about the backyard vacations that are right there in front of us. Like right where we're at. If we just open up our eyes, we don't have to go on Google Maps and look at some place like Sedona or Horseshoe Bend or any of these other places like Moab, although those are wonderful. They're fantastic. What if we look right around us? What's right there? What can we do to really kind of enjoy and just seize the moment and enjoy that day? So I think part of that perfect day when I'm 65 is recognizing at the end of the day that there was something that I took time to notice or be in, whether it's nature or with other people.
No, I love that, man. Great answer. And just it got me thinking too, and remind me how blessed I should feel being in that space now. I mean, I hope I'm in a space that's beautiful when I'm 65 for sure. I think for me, Cheryl and I have actually talked about this. What do we want the future to hold? What do we, and we're getting closer, right?
Yeah.
It comes quick, man. Once you hit double nickels, once you hit 55, man, then you start getting the mail and the this and the that and the ads, and I don't know how they know, but they know. Yeah. And it's all about, the AARP and the Social Security and all this stuff. And so you start thinking about it. But Cheryl and I have had a goal for actually a few years now talking about where we want to be. And actually, we want to be there before 65, but we want to be what we call we're on right now, what we call our road to sovereignty. And so everything we do, we kind of filter through that. But when we get to 65 and before that, but it will extend on to as long as we're blessed to be here together on earth. We want to work a third of the time, we want to serve a third of the time, and we want to play a third of the time. And that, as soon as we can make that happen, we want to continue working because we love what we do, and we can continue to, like you say, make an impact.
Yeah.
However that looks like. But I love what I do. I love helping people out, making a difference, so that I don't ever want that to go away. And then we both love to serve. We've talked about, I've taken my boys and then O'Sheill's boys. Everybody's done some volunteer work. I've had my kids in Mexico and in Louisiana after Katrina. Lots of different ways in disaster relief with the skill set I have from construction. I can serve in that space. And certainly Cheryl being a loving, kind person that will listen to anyone. We kind of have a vision to be able to go into those kind of places after things happen, which is, pretty easy to do down here in South Florida. You get those opportunities a lot.
Yeah.
And then that play a third of the time. That's the travel time, and we're just out and doing our thing. So 65, perfect day, working a third of the time, serving a third of the time, and playing a third of the time.
Ooh, I like that. That's good. That is really powerful.
Okay.
So you're not going to be playing pickleball at 65?
I would like to be in physical shape to be able to do that. I don't know if I'll be doing that, but maybe that'll be part of the plan. Would still like to golf, would still like to be able to swim in a river or the ocean, bike.
With me.
Play with the grandkids, go biking. Come on, let's go.
Let's do it. Let's go do some snow skiing.
Yep.
Oh, this is cool.
Although I know what'll happen if I do that because I know how I am.
One of the things as you were sharing, it hit me was, like when we talked about traveling and all that, and part of it is people get so fixated on the destination that they forget about the journey.
Yeah, bingo.
And even though we're talking about 65, you know what? It doesn't matter where you're at, who you are. What Barry and I were talking about is 68 years out for both of us. So the truth of it is, you think about it, 68 years out, you can answer this question for yourself. So you can rephrase this question like, hey, what's your ideal day look like 6 years from now or whatever? But think about the in-between, they say the dash between now and then. What are you going to do? Take the opportunity to value that time frame, that transition, that transformation, because that's where the beauty's at. The beauty isn't just in the destination. The beauty is in the transformation that takes place during.
Love that, Steve. Yeah.
So,
it does. It does. And it gets a lot more real as you get older, right? And you think about what you've been through. You try and encourage your kids. I think what I try to impress upon them now is they're all in their early 30s.
Yeah.
And it's like, the decisions you make now are going to determine what your day looks like at 65.
Yeah.
We have that wisdom because we're only a few years away now. And so, I'm always trying to encourage them, think about that journey, because that journey, raising kids and moving into a bigger house and traveling and doing stuff. But there's also the setting yourself up for success and investing and making wise decisions and doing all those things so that you can be in control of what your day looks like at 65. There's a lot of people in this country, a lot of people we know at 65, man, they're struggling.
Yeah.
Their day is tough. And man, I don't want that for anybody. 65, you should be enjoying life and just adding value, spending time with your family and loved ones. And man, it's that journey is so important. And you're right. Sometimes we just think about that destination and forget about how we get there. And that journey is the best part of it, man. I think that's part of the reason Cheryl and I love RVing, man. We spend very little time with the radio on or anything. We talk. We talk about where we're going. She'll like read me stuff about the town we're going through and just look at the different places. We try and stay off the interstate and, maybe spend a couple more hours and take an old rural road instead just to see how things still are. There's a lot of towns out there that are living in yesteryear. So it's a lot of fun to make that trip.
That's so cool. That's good. Well, Barry, this has been a phenomenal episode. Thank you. When we ask questions, we don't, we didn't script anything out. We just had the questions.
As you could tell.
And I think that's the power in the questions.
That's the beauty
right?
of it. Yeah.
We get our authentic selves, and that's what we're trying to encourage you guys as you watch and listen. Using questions, good, meaningful questions, creates engagement and allows you to kind of step into their space. We've shared some good, hopefully some helpful takeaways for you today. The thing that sticks out for me today, Barry, is this idea of being brave. And, we get a chance to do that every day. Every one of us does. And breaking average isn't this concept, I'm going to get there and break average. No, breaking average is an active, present activity that you do every single day. And let's do it.
So I got a challenge for our listeners.
All right, I'm ready.
I want you to write down the questions you've heard today, or maybe pull them off our website or wherever you might be able to find them. But I want to challenge you next time you go on let's say just maybe even 30 minutes or more trip with your kids, with your significant other. I don't care who it is. Don't turn on the radio. Throw out some questions, some of these questions maybe, especially with your family.
Yeah.
And everybody answer. That's
cool. I like that.
It'll, in this day and age when everybody's like this, right?
Yeah.
Right. This is what we do now. No. That phone's down, radio off.
Yeah.
Asking questions in the car.
I love it. Now, if you need to pull the question off your phone, maybe that's a good reason to do it. But otherwise, I agree with you. Turn off the phone and just have fun. Just engage, connect, and make that impact. So, Barry, thank you. I think that's a great challenge. I'll echo that. And we're excited I'm excited about this whole series that we're going to be doing here. It's just a few more episodes of this. Dive in. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us some of the thoughts that you guys have on your questions as you contemplate on them. But this has been great. Thanks, Barry.
And if you got what you think is a good question, let's have it.
We want to hear it.
Maybe we'll do a bonus episode with the questions we get from the listeners.
Let's do that. I would love it. That's good. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on the Breaking Average podcast. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Breaking Average podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe or share it with others. Remember, the views shared here are those of the participants. Now, as you go about your day, what's one action you can take from this episode? Join us next time as we continue to challenge the world to break average.